Good evening, Ned. Hey, Ned, when you get a second, can you re-email me all the materials for tonight's meeting? I had it opened and for some reason, I don't know where it went, but it's not there. I've got the agenda printed off, but all the policies that were on there, I don't seem to know where they went.
I just sent it.
All right, thanks.
Ned, are you able to hear us? If you are, you're on mute.
Yes, I can hear you. I
Okay.
was on a different screen trying to find the files for Scott.
Okay, I just sent them to him.
Oh, okay.
All right, I got it. Thank you. So Ned, do we want to start? Are we waiting for anybody? Or do you want to start the introduction?
Why don't we just, everybody run around and introduce themselves? We'll start with the select board.
Dave Gallup, resident.
Phil Marquette, Select Board.
Scott Breyer, Select Board.
Ned Connell, town administrator.
Deb Tanguay, Town Clerk.
Donna Griffiths, resident.
Dave Barlow, treasurer.
Rory
Kelly Gleason from
Rory, go ahead.
Merritt, resident.
Kelly,
Kelly Gleason from Casella Waste Systems.
Len,
Janice, president of Borderline Ridge Rider ATV Club.
Ernie Punt, resident.
Martha's having microphone issues. She had it on the chat line. And would 334-7808 like to introduce themselves. Okay, that's everybody, Scott.
All righty. I'd like to call the meeting Monday, May 3rd, 2021 to order at 6:04 PM. Changes or additions to the agenda? Does any of the board have any changes or additions to the agenda?
I need to add in the resolution for the NEK Community Broadband District that we need to re-sign. That can go under other business.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, allow for public comment. Does anyone have any public comment?
Yes, this is Len Griffiths, resident. Just want to open up a little discussion about the ATV ordinance before you get into it. We are hoping that the select board will wait until the planning commission can present their amendments to the board before renewing the approval.
Tonight is not an approval of the ordinance. It's just approval for the access to the lands controlled in the public right-of-ways within the town of Coventry. The ordinance is still being improved. You're correct, Mr. Janice, excuse me, Mr. Griffiths, but this is only indirectly related to that, and this for this season.
Well, I guess my question is what happened to the promise that these issues were going to be addressed last October and never were. So now and then you, Ned, in February said the planning commission had to take it up. So we're another whole new season without any changes or any ability to have any input at all.
Give it to him. He's right.
Look at his face.
Can I ask a question? So the ordinance, the purpose of the ordinance on the agenda tonight is to do what? If you're ratifying the ordinance, like, I don't understand what's going on myself.
Can
So-
I say,
Could be
can we
clarified.
move this to a discussion in other business since we're in public comment? And to clarify that, Martha and Len, what's coming up with the ATV is an annual authorization for the ATV use on various roads and trails for the club, which is what has been done in past years prior to the ordinance. I want to say something when we get to that point too, but I agree. So I just wanted to kind of get us through public comment, and then, sorry, Scott, I'm kind of taking that from you there,
Yep,
but
no, please do. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay, let's move on to other business. Let's start off with annual authorization of ATV use on various roads and trails for Borderline Ridge Runner Club.
Does someone from the club want to take this?
They had to get out of public comment to other business.
So, hey, Scott, do you want to,
Yeah.
want to talk to?
Yes, I'll talk to you guys. Yeah, we're here for our annual, where we come and ask the board every year on what roads we can use throughout town. And basically, they're all the roads that we've currently had in the past, with the addition of a couple new roads. One of them is being the Alderbrook Road, where we come out on, I'm going to say probably halfway up the Alderbrook Road by the Matthews residence is our upper crossing, because we do cross that in two areas. And we would like to extend it there to Highland Avenue in order to give another route down into Newport to help alleviate some of the traffic experienced on the Lane Road. We think that could be a big help. We did ask the city if they were willing to open their upper end because they own a portion of the Alderbrook Road. And that permission was granted. That is actually in a warning period right now, which we expect to pass with no problem. We had unanimous decision from the council in Newport. And the other one would be the Reed Road. And the Reed Road is essential now because we had an issue on one of our other trails that actually cuts access off currently to Wayne's Restaurant and Hilliker's Store, which we would like to be able to gain access. And we have gotten the private landowner permission to be able to exit the north end of Lane Road and be able to access that area to get us access back to a couple of businesses. And I believe Ned has a copy of the permission form that we usually present you on a seasonal basis, and that has all the roads that are listed. I know you already have them on file. So we're asking the board tonight if they would allow us continued access on the previous roads that we've had and to allow us access on the new path.
Excuse me, this is Ernie Punt, Coventry resident. You
Yes.
didn't mention Cook Road. In the past, Cook Road has not been on the current list. And now it's already marked as a trail. Can I get some clarification on that?
Well, I believe the Cook Road was on the list. If it's not, I'm mistaken, and we would like to ask permission for that particular Class 4 road also. Which basically on the Cook Road, there's only approximately a third of that's in Coventry, and the other end's open right now. So unfortunately, they're going to come through there. By allowing us to use it, we can help control the use by signing it, and definitely we'll sign it properly. And we can also we can help maintain it. I mean, we're not just to use roads and not help maintain them. That's something our club is known to do, and with the size we're getting and the memberships we're getting, we're always willing to help to a certain extent. Obviously, we're not going to bring it up to a Class 2, Class 3 spec, but I mean, we can definitely help if there's any washouts or erosion taking place due to our activity on that particular road.
Now, I understand that the Irisburg is all open. Now, I've been informed recently that you guys are trying to divert most of the traffic from Airport Road to Cooks Road because of problems at Lawson Farm?
No, that's incorrect. We have no issues there.
And the only other thing I'd like to talk about would be with the select board itself. And I know the definition of Class 1, 2, and 3 highways. They must be kept in good and significant repair during all seasons of the year, according to 19 VSA subsection 310A. On the other hand, the town is not required to regularly maintain its Class 4 highways and therefore may exercise discretion in doing so. That's the town of Calais versus County Road Commissioner. 173 Vermont 620 in 2002. But the law also states that the Class 4 highways be maintained to the extent required by the necessity of the town, the public good, and convenience of the inhabitants of the town. Now, in my impression, that would be by allowing the ATVs up here. The town should really step up and at least during ATV season, at least grade the road over to help keep it smooth so that it poses less of a safety hazard because of the potholes and stuff like that, and tearing the town and the ATVs tearing up the road. Now, is that something that, that the select board could possibly put into some kind of writing of some sort, that they step up and maintain it during ATV use?
I don't know how the other two feel, but I would be opposed to it for this reason. The ATVs, you could put 10,000 of them over that road and they're gonna have no more damage than Terry Perkins gonna put on it with his 80,000 pound shit tractor going over it.
I agree with you on that. There possibly
As
is.
far as the potholes, that I would think I would slow people down and be a good thing.
Also,
Yeah, I kind of understand there, but it also poses a safety issue because you can't, to try to avoid the potholes, you're going around them and everything. It creates more of a safety hazard because there's no straight lanes. And it does state for the convenience and the public good. Well, wouldn't it benefit the town if they smooth this road up to divert the traffic from Airport Road? And once again, this is only during ATV season. It would divert traffic from Airport Road and bring them onto this road where it's actually safer for ATV riders to be riding because in general is less traffic.
So Scott, would you say the ATV club would be willing to help out with a little gravel on that road possibly?
Well, yeah, we'd be able to help out to a certain extent on the road. Nothing that a town could possibly do, but we could definitely help. And there again, I mean, I know we're not the sole users of it. I'm sure, like the gentleman spoke before, large tractors are using it, and so, I mean, yeah, we'd be helping to willing to throw a loader to a gravel and help out with that.
I had another question for Scott. Why aren't we using Cottonmore Road? Is it because we need a culvert down there? You're coming off, say you're coming off Cooks Road, you get on Webster's and you get to the end of Webster's. Why don't we use that class 4 road that goes right straight across where the Skidoo Trail goes? You know where I mean, Scott?
I'm not quite sure where
you know where Bowman lives?
Yes, I do.
All right, so right at the end of that road is a class 4 road, goes all the way down to Cottonmore. That is Cottonmore Road. Why aren't we using that all the way down to the top of the hill here and getting people off these busy roads?
Well, I know Danny Pepin's excavation a couple of years ago went down there for the Snow Machine Club and redid a culvert down there.
I think they're still having trouble with it. I'd like to see that road used. It gets people off these big roads, and I just think it'd be a good thing. I talked with Peanut there a little bit the other day about it. And I think he mentioned the fact that the culvert was needed addressing. And I think that's something the town should step up and do through the what was the thing we did with Fairweather? Economic development.
Yep.
I mean, I got a big pipe right here, and we can go down and slap that thing in. But are you seeing it on the map yet, Scott?
No, I don't have one in front of me, but I mean, we'd be definitely willing to take a look at it. I'll discuss it.
So when you get to the top of the station, there's a dirt road to the right, Cottonmore Road.
Okay. Yeah.
So that road will go all the way through to Webster Road. And then you're taking people off the Airport Road where you got people humming on that baby on the dirt end.
Basically what he's saying, Scott, is if you go off of Webster Road and at the intersection of the T of Webster Road and Airport Road, if you go straight across like you were driving off the edge of Airport Road, that is Cottonmore Road that goes right down there.
Okay. We definitely, I mean, be, if you guys could help, I mean, definitely would be willing to look into using that for sure.
I mentioned that when the Skidoo Club, when this all started, and I mentioned it, I think we had some Skidoo Club members there too. And I just think it's a great option for us, gets people. I would assume the thought of ATVs is to not be on roads, on class 3 roads, class 2 roads, state highways, I would think they'd want to be on class 4 roads. Am I
But
correct?
this is a class,
Oh, definitely. Wherever we could ride class 4 roads, I mean, we definitely prefer that, for sure.
now, this is a class 4 road. Cooks Road is a class 4 road, but there's residents on it. I'm having a hard time understanding why the town, they say they're the richest town in the state of Vermont, but yet they don't want to help their residents.
But David, as the road commissioner, what would it take to, I would say even work with the club if they were bring gravel up for you, what would it take to do the grader just up through there to?
You don't want to grade that road. You got those blades are $3,600 a shop. You go and hook a piece of ledge and chip that. You don't want to be playing with those roads.
Also,
As far as people moving to a class 4 road, they should fully understand, as Mr. Punt should, as a former road worker, that you have no expectations there other than ditches and culverts.
You are correct, but when I first moved here, there was no issue with ATV because ATVs were not even thought about being allowed on the town roads, and it wasn't an issue. Now, by allowing ATVs, you're increasing the traffic flow, you're increasing when it rains, because it's potholed, they drive through the potholes, they're splashing out the water, they're increasing the runoff from the road, drainage and all that stuff, they're increasing that. And there's still a couple of culverts up here that need replacing that haven't been addressed yet. And so I'm just asking if, the town says they got all this money from the landfill, yet there's 1 of 5 residents on the road, and then you want to add, I don't know, on a good weekend, 50, 60, 70 ATVs going up and down the road to cause more erosion problems, especially if it's raining. I mean, there's gravel on the road. It might be a little bit bony, but that's the last time I checked, that was a $300,000 grader. And there's only one little spot where there's ledge on the road.
Our class 4 roads are very much like our class 2 and 3 roads. We are the poster child for the multi-sector general permit. We meet all specifications. If you want to go to the state website and confirm that, you can.
I'm not saying you don't, because you do. All I'm saying, though, is the town has the right to help its residents for the benefit of the public good. Well, it only makes sense if they touched it up for the benefit of the public, because the ATVs would be safer, because they're not, I mean, if they're coming down through here at 100 miles an hour, I'm not saying they would, but, and they hit some of these potholes, they lose control. First of all, somebody's going to get killed. And then if I meet somebody or Terry Perkins meets somebody, there's no place to go. And that's why I was asking about, even during ATV season, like once in the spring or once towards the fall, just touch it up. I mean, it's a $300,000 grader. It'd take you half hour.
Dave, is Cottonwood Road a class 4?
Yes, and you wouldn't be maintaining that one either.
And I would highly recommend that the select board and the town get some input from VLCT about doing more than just the absolute minimum of drainage work and replacing the culvert, as David has said in a prior comment.
You're gonna open up a can of worms.
Yeah, it's gonna essentially automatically make it a class 3.
No, it's up to the town. It's literally up to the town on how they handle it. And if they have it in writing, because see, the town of Coventry has no class 4 road policy. They go with what the state recommends. And it says it may be maintained to the extent required by necessity of the town and the public good and the convenience of the town's inhabitants.
Yes, I recognize what you just repeated yourself, but yes. But
Yes,
I would still want the input from the LCT saying the town is under no legal obligation of any way, shape, or form of changing this from when we touch it, that it goes from class 3 to class 4. And that has, from what my memory of state law, a very great potential.
You
So-
will open up a can of worms you do not want to open.
What does Irisburg do on the 3/4, 3/4 of the Cook Road that's in Irisburg? What does Irisburg town do to maintain that part of Cook Road?
Nothing to my knowledge.
Okay. All right, let's move this discussion on. Let's talk about other aspects of this this discussion. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Scott,
The only
Vanessa,
other thing I'd like to ask, excuse
go ahead,
me,
Art.
the only thing I'd like to ask is some clarification on when the trails technically open May 15th,
Yes,
from what I understand.
yes, trails open May 15th
When,
and we close October 1st.
yes, now town roads are open to ATVs.
I believe
When
that's
does
a
the town
discussion
road-
in the amendment to the ATV ordinance, because
well-
there is no date in there to my knowledge.
Some towns are open year round. Most of them coincide with our open and close date.
So basically, these roads are open year round, even if it's 30 below zero and it's middle of January. You can still take an ATV on these roads.
Right now, the way the ordinance is written, yes.
Okay, so when does a town road become a trail and open up for ATV club members?
May 15th.
So until May 15th, the only people that can ride these roads are Coventry residents? It's a little confusing the way it's written, that's all. And I'm trying to figure it out because I've had some people coming up and down the road. They've actually weren't so nice. And I explained to them the trails were closed, but they're like, it's an open road. So, and they came from Irisburg. So when does it become a trail and when is it open for everybody? May 15th is the trails open.
Well, I don't have the copy of the ordinance in front of me right now, but is there an open and closed date written into the ordinance?
There is not currently.
There currently
No,
is.
there currently isn't.
There currently isn't, but I see where you're going, Ernie, and I think that's one of those gray areas.
Yeah, I mean, because
That's what we had issues with in the beginning. I know this ordinance came up right when I first started. They were halfway through it, and one of the things was residents versus everybody. And it's legally hard to figure that part out.
Right, I think when and if the ordinance gets adjusted, it's possible that, there will be some dates put in there to coincide with the clubs. It would probably create a lot less confusion if the roads in the town were only open when the trail system was open.
Oh, it'd be so much easier.
So Scott, I got a question for you. Newport just changed, like you were saying, to Alderbrook Road. Did they keep Highland opened up and their end of Lane Road, or did they take that out? I haven't read their amendments yet.
No, they kept all that in there. They added in several other streets and they allowed direct access for the residents and invitees to and from their residents.
Okay, and then
Pretty much opened it all up.
And then, so with them, do you do like you are doing with us with the annual agreement, or is that just part of the ordinance?
Well, basically what we just did in Newport was we amended the ordinance. And we needed to amend the ordinance to allow access throughout the whole city, for one. And then we had made some previous adjustments to it with an MOU, which we actually wanted to get official and get it written into the new ordinance, which right now is in its 60-day warning process.
Yep.
It was done with full support of the council, full support of all the city officials to adjust it after seeing it in use for a season. There had to be some changes made.
So
Yep.
the ordinance, the way it's written for what you guys are marking as trails, is it written that way for club members only, and then they have the residents, right? Separately?
Well, the way it's written.
Or club members or anybody on the trails that you guys are marking, and then what's not marked, residents.
Well, what is signed and given to the general public is you've got to stay on that path. That is what we give everybody on these routes. That's on our map, is to stay on those routes. But like Newport, it was written as the direct access for the resident and invitees. So
Yep.
meaning I've got a friend in Newport, I can actually ride to his house.
Yep.
If I want to go to his house and unload my ATV or whatnot, I can leave from his house.
Yep.
Is pretty much the way it's written. And then, like I mentioned, what is signed and advertised on our maps is only for basically club members, and they basically stay on that route. I mean, I don't see many people usually venturing, off our signed routes for the most part, other than residents or invitees going to and from their residence.
Okay. I'll note personally, my personal feeling, this is not from a board side of, I like how that has been done up there, and I would like to see it done here. And I guess scooting back into the board side is bringing on what is being brought up tonight with the annual agreement is, I would not mind either waiting and working with the planning commission with it, or get it written into our ordinance the same way the city has, so it's kind of all in one, and you don't have two different things going on.
When's our next meeting?
Well, it's 2 weeks, isn't it? Or the planning commission,
No, select board meeting.
select boards, there's 2 weeks. So.
We'll be on the 17th.
Yeah, so that's not
And then
gonna work.
And then
So
the
that's
planning
not-
commission will be on Wednesday.
So that won't work for
Well,
us.
it's not gonna work no matter, well, the current agreement with the club is until revoked, right?
Well,
Without making changes. I know you're trying to make some changes, but if we waited to make those changes and integrated it all into the
well,
ordinance.
we're not really trying to make changes. We're just trying to add some routes. I mean, it doesn't
Well,
say
yeah,
anywhere in the ordinance
what I
that
mean.
we, couldn't add a couple additional routes for this year and then work it into your new ordinance. And that's what was done in Newport, Derby, and your surrounding communities, the same thing, until we kind of figured out how to bow it all up and say, okay, this is good. And that's why, your curfews, I hear changes on your curfews, and by lowering your curfew won't work very well because your surrounding towns have got a different curfew.
Oh, I agree with that too, and I guess that's where I'm going, is the planning commission is working on this. I agree with Len on this one, is that we kind of got two discussions that are along the same lines on here going on, and we kind of want to have the two match up. And that's I don't know about the other two, but that's my feeling on it. And yeah.
Well, I'm thinking we could probably just have a special meeting prior to the 15th. That way we won't hold the club up. Ned, wouldn't you think we could do?
The ordinance will not be until we have a public hearing and some other things, and
But at least the planning commission could be involved. I know none of them are, well, who's on it? I don't remember. I don't think anybody is on this meeting tonight from it, so.
No, they're not.
That was just my concern, is I feel sometimes I don't want to be the one, lack of a better word, micromanaging a project that we handed to them.
Excuse me, gentlemen. So I'm trying to figure this out here. You're asking for authorization on the roads that have already been authorized, but you're pushing Cooks Road as a major trail when the original trail map was Airport Road, Coventry Station Road, Webster Road, River Road on this side of the river. Am I correct?
I will say the list that, and I'm trying to pull it back up here, the list that I received for tonight does not have Cooks Road on it.
Yeah, it does not have Cooks Road on it.
I'll put that out there in the open, because I think that's what you're asking, Ernie.
Yes, if it does not have Cooks Road on it, then and it's already marked as a trail. So it's not authorized for, let me get this right. It's not authorized for BLRR members to be on the road at this point in time. And therefore it should be marked as no ATVs at this current time.
That's where, to my understanding, the ordinance has kind of put that gray area in, because the ordinance, we can't, and it does not talk right at this point of restricting who and who cannot ride on our roads.
And that's
Okay,
as
so
a,
basically, go ahead.
no, we just thought as a club, you know, we're basically, you know, your roads are open and it doesn't state it in your ordinance to who it's open for, to who it's not open for. And we do this on a yearly basis and just come to the town anyways, and have added extra routes and just told the town. And it's always been the way we've done it for, I don't know, 10, 12 years. The same.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out why you're putting the responsibility of one landowner, actually a couple landowners, to maintain a road that I understand was class 4 to start with when I first moved here, even though the original plan was, Dave told me it was a legal trail, then it got fixed to a class 4, which I understand, mistakes happen, but you're trying to put the maintenance all on 3 people, 3 residents on the road for everybody in the Northeast Kingdom that wants to come riding ATVs to use and tear up and do all that good stuff too. Am I correct?
I don't see how you're not.
I want to see them on class 4 road. I don't think they're going to damage that road half as bad as the hunters going through there with their 4x4 pickups. I don't think they're going to hurt it more than Terry with his heavy ship trucks. And I just don't even.
But the hunters only.
I just don't even believe they're going to touch that road. The only damage they're going to do is when they access that road down by Donnie's, who is not complaining, that they're going to be spinning. And that's where your damage is going to be. But as far as going straight down a road on an ATV, it'd be pretty hard to screw it up with the weight of them.
Well, that's the other issue. I noticed the state of Maine and the state of New Hampshire are actually talking about limiting the size of ATVs because of the damage that they do to the trail systems up in Maine and New Hampshire. Now, is that an option? I mean, is that something the town is going to look at in the future? Because the ATVs, unfortunately, I mean, they're getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I mean, just stepping back a little bit from this. So, you know, when the ordinance got passed and it went to the town vote, you know, it was basically 3 people to 1 person, 3 for, 1 against. So the residents of Coventry, regardless of what road you live on, where you live, if we come down to a town vote, it seems to me that the residents in the majority are for ATVs, UTVs. So what we really got to do is just try to figure it out and keep everybody as happy as possible. Because, you know, for me, it makes no difference if all the roads are open or all the roads are closed. But I want to do what's in the best interests of the majority of the residents. And it's going to make a few people unhappy. And that's just how it's going to be. Not everybody's going to be happy.
Hey, Scott, can I make a comment?
Yes.
I would have to say that when that vote was taken, there was a lot of ignorance about the whole issue. Nobody knew the impacts that were going to happen. And on top of that, having to deal with all of this over Zoom is very unproductive and very difficult. I would say it has not been a fair or realistic process to this point. And therefore that, to me, takes away some of the credibility of that vote. And I would say that a lot of citizens of Coventry just have not been able to get their voice out there or their opinion.
Thanks for your input, Len.
I would also like to add that Phil has been doing, Dan has been doing an outstanding job on the Planning Commission, reviewing letters and such that he has received. The meetings have been very productive in listening to concerns and possible solutions to some of the issues that have arisen. And in all of those meetings, no one unless I'm mistaken, no one has said, please get rid of all ATVs. People are just asking for diversion of routes, for control of what's happening. And it's also my understanding that if we're making changes, some of which seem to be talked about here, like adding on roads, if we're making an adjustment to an ordinance, don't those have to go through that whole ordinance process of review in the 60 days before we can make these changes?
This is not a change to the ordinance. It's just permission to use the roads. Scott, I would recommend that the board table this till because like Phil said, the roads that were asked for permission are still the roads that the ATV clubs have permission to ride on. We table this until the ordinance has been either adjusted, adopted, or whichever, and go from there, because
How are you gonna do that, Ned?
I actually, that's a good question. I don't know how we're gonna do that.
So we don't,
Yeah, but
we don't
we-
want to get to the 14th and say, oh, we screwed up and now we don't have any ordinance.
Yeah, but we can go through, work with the planning commission with a plan that they're working on. And if these roads need to be agreed on through this way now to be able to make it work, and then at the same time it's being added to the ordinance and in the amendment, yes, the amendment's going to take the 60, 90 days or whatever that whole period is, then we do that. But at least this year, the club has the permissions that is in line with what we are going to do with the ordinance at that point. Does that make
I
sense?
don't think we would be in this issue right now if the select board had done as they said last August, which was that in October, we're going to bring this issue up and discuss it and listen to all the residents, look for recommendations, get it all settled before the season ever comes and be able to warn everything. But it never came up again until February, and then it got shoved on the planning commission. So I think that ultimately is a problem.
Donna, I will say this, that our meeting last year when we voted on the ordinance back in April, it was brought up that we would look at it in February. I do remember back last summer, we said we would come up in October and check it. We were going through the time of the transition with Amanda not being there full time and part-time on and off, and trying to get a new town administrator at the same time. So I think that's where it ultimately went, and we did end up getting to it at February. It was our first February meeting that we brought it up, as was stated in the minutes from last year when we voted on this amendment.
I've gone through all the minutes over the last quite a few years and checked this, and I know what you're saying, but when it came up in February, it was shoved to the planning commission, and everybody felt like, well, nobody cares about this, which we know there are quite a few people who don't care about it.
Well, I did agree myself, did agree that it is a good place for that to be down as the planning commission, since it's, I don't remember, somebody said
It's state law and state priorities that the planning commission does the initial rewrite or the creation of ordinances, and then it comes to the select board for approval, maybe some minor adjustments or some major adjustments, and then obviously would go back. But it's planning commission creation or adjustment, select board approval, and public hearing.
Why wasn't it done that way the first time?
I was just going to say that I know it wasn't done that way the first time, and I didn't agree. I was on the planning commission at time. I didn't agree with it being done that way, and I wasn't on the select board at that point. So it was kind of where I brought up earlier of, I felt like this discussion needs to move to the planning commission, because I don't want to be a select board that's making it seem like we're being micromanaged. And I know the other two were on there before, and when I was on the planning commission, at points it felt that way. So I trying to help make some changes and give other people in our community the ability to work on some of the stuff too, that it really should be.
I'll actually credit Ned on that. I think it's,
yeah.
I think Ned has a good point of view. Get the planning commission involved. Doesn't agree with everything the planning commission says either when they come back to us, but it gives them a chance to look at it, send us that proposal. We can look at it, like he said, make our adjustments, agree, disagree. At least it's a process in the right direction, I believe. Donna and Len, I just do. I've been here 2 years and it's never been brought to my attention to bring it to the planning commission before until I got here, to be honest with you.
So Ned, do you know exactly if we do not approve any roads at this time and table this, does the ATV club still have the right to use all the existing roads as prior? Because I don't believe we had a termination date. It was until
Yeah, on
Until revoked.
Yeah, on the
Until
current
revoked.
application, it's until revoked.
so.
I will verify that, but the application for this year says until revoked also.
So I believe your last year's application said until revoked, so I believe the ATV club can proceed as last year at this present time without us approving any of the roads if
So does that, you're confusing me, does that exclude Cook's Road or is that included?
According to the map and the list, it does exclude Cook Road, but I vaguely remember going through this discussion last year. So I think, Ned, if you can pull up the last year's information.
I'll dig around, see if I can find it. But the list that was provided with the mailing and the email, the lower part of there is the parts that are being added. And Cook's Road is not on either the upper part or the lower part, so.
but Cook's Road was existing in the previous year, correct?
No, it's not on the list.
So residents, so actually residents only could use it. Correct.
That's a,
That was
before the ordinance, I
last
think.
year.
Before the ordinance, I would say that would be, well,
We
Yeah.
approved the ordinance for all roads, so I would assume the residents can use it. Am I wrong?
At
Right?
this point in time,
No, I think you're correct on that, Dave. To be honest, I think you're correct. It was approved in the ordinance that all roads for the town of Coventry residents is what was voted upon last year.
no, I believe it's for all.
nah, yeah, the ordinance, we went through that. We weren't able to put that wording in
We
there.
weren't able to put just residents.
Oh, we didn't, did we? We didn't put.
No, you-
Legally,
No,
we
for
could
all.
not do that. And that's where I had come up with a couple ideas that I passed along to the planning commission on, and it's in a similar way that the city did. And that's why, Scott, I was asking all those questions to kind of get verification and understand how exactly it was working with you guys in the city. And I know
Right,
these
so at this-
answers aren't what you want to hear tonight, but
So all
Well,
roads are
I
open.
don't see a problem with residents.
Well,
Right.
right now, we got a ordinance in place that was voted on that we're
Yeah.
going by, and it's
Yeah.
basically includes all roads can
Yeah.
be for ATV use.
Yeah. So we'll go with that until we have our next meeting or what? What are we doing here?
Well, I don't believe we're not gonna authorize, well, annual authorization of ATV use on various roads and trails for BLRR. We already have an ordinance in place. And until we change it, all the roads in the town of Coventry are open to the ATV club. Am I correct, Ned, in stating that?
That is essentially correct, yes.
And without changing an ordinance, the board doesn't have really the authority or to just say, we're gonna close this road, that road, and this road without input from, without going through the proper channels, correct?
Exactly.
No,
so
but you did hear Scott Jeunesse say they're willing to put some gravel on this road. Am I correct on that?
I did hear that.
Did who said that?
Scott Jennings, I think.
Hey, well, help you out if it's bad enough, but like I said, we're not improving it to be a highway, Ernie.
I'm not saying to be a highway.
No.
All I'm saying is to help maintain it.
Oh, I know, you've been after the town for years on that one.
Well, the amount of people that are using it, I mean, it would only be right for the town. It would only benefit the town if they actually maintained it partially, at least especially during ATV use. And that's my other question is if I meet somebody on this road, they have to yield to me legally, if I'm correct, because they're not technically federal vehicles. I mean, they're not technically authorized to even be on the road by the National Highway Traffic Safety Committee. So who has to yield to who on this road? I know I have to yield to Terry Perkins because he's got a trailer behind him and all that stuff, so it's easier for me to back up. What's that situation present? Because it's not wide enough for me to meet a razor or a side-by-side and pass.
Yeah.
What's the clarification on that?
Well, everybody should be going at a safe speed so you can pass by each other safely.
Yeah, but it's not wide enough.
Is what you should be doing.
And in a lot of places to do that.
Well, we need to have the proper signage on there that says, yield to automobiles and automobiles have the right of way. Scott, do you have any signs like that?
We can do
I
that.
don't get me wrong. I am grateful, Scott, for the sign that is put up down there. I thank you very much. I hope there's a sign on the Irisburg end to notify people, but I do thank you for that sign that's down there because it does help.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, Ernie. We're trying to help.
But I'm trying to figure that out. I mean, if I meet somebody, I mean, there's no room to pull over in a lot of places.
Well, more times than not, you're gonna see that the guy on his ATV is gonna yield to you. He's gonna pull off to the side of the road and let you go by. Because we have the means, obviously, to go off road, so he probably can get over and let you continue. I don't see that as a huge issue. Let's see what happens. And I mean, we can always say this and this, and let's see what happens.
And my only other question would be, there's no arrow sign pointing towards Airport Road. It's all directed up this road. Is there because the trail doesn't just end at Cooks Road down to River Road. It continues on past Fred Webster's, if I'm correct. Am I right on that?
You're correct. It probably just hasn't been signed yet, Ernie. We got a lot of work. We got a lot of work to do.
And my only other question would be, is even at 15, 20 miles an hour, it's about the fastest, I come up this road, and I know speed limits for the town are 35. Is it possible to at least get maybe a 15 or 20 mile an hour speed limit sign up here to help the people slow down so that it doesn't pose a risk of them come flying over the hill and have somebody sitting right there?
Sure. We can even put sensitive area signs, Ernie.
Yeah, that's what is up there. I appreciate that. Sensitive area, all that sign is there.
Yeah. Speed limits we don't mess with because we kind of leave that as the rules of the road, how they're posted by the town. We start altering speeds and go at a slower or faster speed, it could be dangerous. So we want to flow at the same speed of traffic. We can put you.
Well, that's why I'm asking though for 20 mile an hour, because even on this road, not on Webster Road, on Cooks Road only.
Yeah.
Because you can't go up this road at 35 miles an hour. You're asking for problems. And that's why I was wondering about that. Now, could the town do something like that?
Not without an ordinance.
Yeah.
Dave's right, though.
Sir, can I have my opportunity to speak before you close the discussion? I've been waiting over a half hour with my hand up.
Go ahead, Martha.
So I'm gonna bring this back to a little bit of basics. So first of all, there's an approved ordinance that the board seems unclear about. So I would like to read the purpose of this ordinance. The purpose of this ordinance is to promote and protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the town, and to preserve residents' rights to quiet enjoyment of homes and properties by regulating time, manner, and location of operation of all-terrain vehicles within the town. That is the very purpose of what you are supposedly supposed to be enforcing and promoting. Secondly, I find it highly disturbing that after having several conversations and several residents bringing up the fact that there are potential conflicts of interest with the road commissioner, or is Gallup speaking as road commissioner? Is he the resident like he introduced himself, or is he a board member? If he's acting as the road commissioner, he doesn't get a vote as selectman. So you're down to 2 selectmen. Then you have a definite conflict of interest with Breyer, who makes money selling parts for ATVs. So you have one board member who's sitting there trying his damnedest to save this town and save face about the ethics of this community. And you're not even listening. And then you're saying that the road should be open for the good of the public, but yet you're saying you won't maintain the road for the good of the public. That violates them landowners' Vermont constitutional right. I am highly, highly concerned about our town. And this is insane. This is absolutely insane. We really need to start thinking about, are we going back to where we were 5 years ago? This is honestly, I cannot believe the insanity of this. And I am so angry that I've tried to shut my mouth. But my neighbors don't want me to shut my mouth. They're asking where I've gone. They're asking because they're too scared. They're too intimidated. And we're sitting here with a club president who has sat there and lied clearly in this meeting, comes to a meeting unprepared about an ordinance, and then speaks on an ordinance that isn't even in front of him. He backtalks constantly. And this is how we are presenting ourselves to our community. You're damaging the welfare of this man's business, not only his home, but his business, for financial gain over the town. It's disgusting, and I'm disgusted. You really all need to have a conversation with yourselves. Phil, I'm sorry. I don't mean you.
Touching.
And I'm still waiting to hear whether Gallup's a select board member, a resident, as he introduced himself sitting at a select board table, or if he's the road commissioner.
I'm the road commissioner, I'm the selectman, I'm the rec director, and whatever the fuck else you want me to be, Martha Sylvester. And I'm sick of you pointing your finger.
We don't need unprofessional language like that.
You and Kate Fletcher are as poisonous as anybody in this community, and you think rules only apply when you want them to. I am done with you.
Okay. So Ned, we're not gonna take a vote on this tonight, and I don't believe we need a vote.
No, we don't need a vote at this time.
Okay.
So I still don't get my answer. I just get a fuck you. Thanks. Proves my point.
Right back at you, baby.
He's right, though.
So Ned,
That's
we're gonna go, let's get.
Hang on just one second, Scott. Rory, I'm going to ask you to mute yourself when your wife is talking. So I've muted you for right now. So if there's background noise, you're going to get muted.
So Ned, what I'd like to do is, let's attend the planning commission meeting, see where they're at. Let's get their input on this. And
I think actually they're finishing up, or I'd have to look at their agenda. They're finishing up tomorrow, Wednesday night. So let's let them finish and come up with something. And then when we meet on the 17th, they'll have it formulated and we can combine everything at that time, hopefully. And I will coordinate with Dan.
And Martha, for your information, I plan on recusing myself when we do vote on the ATV stuff that is pertinent to the town. So there will not be a conflict of interest. I've had a discussion with the town attorney, and he said, he advised me I can vote or I can recuse myself, either way.
So Scott, are you saying that Brian Monahan told you it was okay for you to participate in ATV discussions? Which is what you are doing as the chair of this board. You are sitting as a board member discussing ATV issues. You're telling me Brian Monahan said yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Kelly Gleason, are you still there? There she is.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, let's move on to the recycling, Facebook ads and other outreach. Thank you,
Yeah,
Kelly.
So you're welcome. I thought that Sherry would be here, but so I'll just kind of run through this. we had discussed at the last meeting that I was on that I am helping the town with the outreach that's required by the solid waste implementation plans.
Yes, they're all.
And before I went ahead and did anything that was going to have any sort of monetary association with it, I wanted to just double check. I know you guys have a budget for your SWIP outreach, but I don't actually know what that is. And I wanted to get the okay. The way I'm working it with some of the other towns that I'm managing are targeted Facebook ads. So we have a topic of the month, which are all topics required by the state that you guys put in your outreach plan. So we can do targeted ads. So people within Coventry, and then I believe it's a 15-mile sort of buffer radius for anyone that's kind of on the outskirts would get this ad. So say for the month of April, we did how to recycle correctly, which I know we discussed the last time was a big concern. The month of May will be how to properly manage household hazardous waste in prep for your upcoming HHW day. So it's the Facebook ads. It's also some print ads. So we'll have a print ad advertising the HHW day, and then sort of anything else that might have a cost associated with it. Right now, like the Facebook ads, I believe are like $50 a month for the targeted, and then print ads vary. I am using a media buying firm to lower those costs a little bit, which has been nice, rather than just me going out to the paper and putting it in. She buys in bulk, so that we can say we have the town of Lowell as well now. So Lowell, Coventry, Fairfax, get a better rate when we're doing these things. So that's really what I just, before I did anything, I wanted to okay that with everybody and sort of see where you guys were at in terms of what your budget was for this solid waste implementation plan outreach.
Kelly reached out to me a couple of weeks ago to be added to the agenda and went over the budget numbers. And we do have a budget for the Facebook recycling ads and for the other ongoing ads. And we do definitely have more than enough in the household hazardous waste stuff for May. So I would recommend that the board authorize us spending. And I would probably cap it at, let's just call it $250, something like that for the town of Coventry. We'll get a $50 buy for the Facebook ads with the recycling. And I would say that's a very good thing because we have had some problems with people, residents tossing everything and not recycling. And the household hazardous waste stuff, we need to advertise. That's coming up in May. And again, in October, Kelly, I think, or something like that.
I believe you guys are your July. I just sent these dates out, so let me just find it in my email. You guys are.
Could I make this is Ernie Punt. Could I make a quick comment on the recycling?
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing, I pick up rubbish in and around Coventry and the surrounding areas. The number one thing I have problems with is people for the recycling is what is and what isn't recyclable, unfortunately. Sheet plastic, for example, unfortunately, we can't take the sheet plastic, but it's got a big number 1 on it. That's the biggest confusion I have with a lot of people is they get very easily confused about what is and what is not recyclable because of the TV ads and stuff like that for different areas. And that's a huge issue for people. And another thing that is the biggest thing is the recycling has to be clean. So those are some of the biggest issues we have. And in turn, that frustrates a lot of people so that they do just throw it away. I just bringing that up. That might, I don't know how you could address that or to dumb it down. Or maybe I don't know how that could be done, but maybe take that into consideration.
And so in some of the Recycle Better content that we've put together that I didn't launch anything for Coventry because I needed the okay from you guys. But we did a little flyer that they can actually print out on what is actually recyclable versus what's not. So if we did that print ad in the newspaper, people could just cut it right out of the newspaper. And I can also, so who's managing the website now? So who do I contact if I need? You, Ned? Perfect.
That's me.
So Yeah, so I'll get you that Recycle Better content that we can get on your solid waste section of your website. And
Okay.
I think that that'll help with a lot of that. It is pretty, like you said, sort of dumbed down, really pictures, easy text on how to manage certain things.
Yeah, because that's a huge issue, and like another issue that comes up quite often is a lot of people are going with the box meals, and
Like
they have the
microwaveables?
insulation. The insulation in the box is it's got like I want to say it's like packing peanuts inside the plastic or inside the paper.
Yeah, like the
And-
meal
and-
delivery services you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking like what I don't even know what they all are.
Like
Smart
HelloFresh,
Food or whatever.
Daily Harvest.
Yeah, yeah.
My
A
husband
lot of
hates
those
my
in-
Daily Harvest boxes.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't realize how to properly recycle that. Is
Mhm.
you actually have to peel the paper off of the insulation inside of it.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
and if
those
that's
are-
something that's helpful to you guys, we can do, I mean, we can customize the content. Like the way the state writes it, you just have to cover how to recycle properly. So if that's something that's
Yeah, it's
important
so vague.
to your town, yeah, we can customize it and still meet your requirements. No problem.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, our stipulation is if there's 3 or more things that are not acceptable, then it's trash.
Hmm.
And because
Yeah,
I just
and
unfortunately
I-
I
you
don't
know-
I can't pick it out.
Yeah, and you know, coming from the MRF end of things, if it comes in as contamination, it's more costly because then you have to pay to take it back out, pay someone to sort it. So it's in everybody's best interest to clean up the recycling stream.
Yeah, so I mean, if that could just be, I mean, I think that just needs to be kind of dumbed down and addressed for people. Maybe it might make it a little easier for people to do that.
Yeah. So for the month of May, we'll still run with the household hazardous waste because that is another required topic that you have to touch on. That way that's out there prior. Your HHW day at the landfill is July 17th. So we'll get that. And then for June, I can circle back and do a little more targeted recycling stuff for you guys. And if I have the okay, what we'll do, Ned, you just have to let me know. We could do it as like a PO if that's easy, or I could just give you guys the invoice that's for the town each month whenever it comes in.
We can coordinate at that point, just to tailor it, just so it's targeted and adjusted as we go along, as we hear other problems and stuff. But
Yeah,
I just wanted
perfect.
this board's, consensus to say, yes, go ahead and expend that money.
Perfect.
Now, I've also heard people talking about, when they go to the landfill, for example, they look in and they see all this stuff that's not supposed to be recycled in the recycling container, which I understand. I know how it works, believe me. Not everybody understands it. So they're like, well, why am I even recycling if it's all contaminated and it's just going to be dumped up above anyways?
Yeah, we could put out a fact sheet on how that stuff gets separated out. I don't actually work at the landfill, so my sole job is to work with the towns on this outreach. So I can coordinate with Jeremy, and we could do a little fact sheet on the amount of contamination and what happens to things if that's something that's a concern.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to come up with the ideas to make it easier for people, because literally it is. Those are the things that I'm hearing from my customers. Even it's like
Mhm.
when they do it, take it themselves or whatever. Like, why bother? Because so much of it's contaminated and junk that you just look in the container. And I
Right.
understand trying to put somebody there would be impossible, but it's very frustrating for people to try to do it and then see that happening and know that a lot of it's coming back here because it's contaminated.
Yeah, absolutely. I can work directly with Jeremy and with the girls up there on putting something together that addresses those concerns.
Well, I think it would make people feel more relaxed or more secure about what they're doing as far as recycling goes. I don't know how anybody else feels, but
Definitely knowing
Is that-
exactly what is recyclable and what is not would be super beneficial to everyone.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yep.
I got a question for Kelly. Now, Kelly, what time on Saturday, the 17th, is going to be the HHW held?
7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
7:30 to 11:30?
Mhm.
Okay, because I'll go ahead and I'll get that on our school sign for you. And anything else that you ever want to have on that school sign, just absolutely let me know. And that's something we can get placed on there.
Yeah,
regardless
maybe we can work on some of
a
the
statement or
topics.
whatever. Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Deb.
Available to you guys. So just letting you know.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Ned, I'll coordinate with you.
Very good. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Kelly.
Okay. Moving offices, assessors and town administrator.
Yeah, a couple of people asked me to bring this up at not a town meeting, at a select board meeting, just to review what's going on. We're going to transfer the town administrator up here in the upstairs room next to the board room, downstairs where the assessor's office is, and move the assessors upstairs to where I am now. This has been a plan that's been kicked around for a couple of months at least. And we'll probably do it sometime mid to late May, depending on what the weather is, because we're going to coordinate with the road guys to basically pull the drawers out of my desk, carry them downstairs, pull the drawers out of the assessor's desk, and bring them upstairs. And we just want to avoid some of the days where the assessor's going to be dealing with the sort of pre-grievance hearing. So we may, we're just going to pick a day and do it, and that's it. So, but we've sorted through some of the stuff already, so we should be okay to go. Just wanted to inform the board about what's going on.
So you think that's going to happen sometime within the next couple of weeks?
A couple of weeks, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I
and
think some grievance hearings start as soon as this week, right?
yeah, they start
I think it was the 6th.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. And we're not going to go there, but we're going to have to coordinate with the road, and when they have a rainy day, we'll just jump on it at the last second and off we go.
So just to be clear, that we're not in the grievance period in the month of May. These are just pre-meetings with the assessors. The grievance period's in June and July. So if people are listening and freaking out, calm down.
Yeah, just, sorry.
You get, as a parcel owners, you get at least 2 bites of the apple this year.
Okay.
Over.
Thank you, Dave. Great. Coventry BF 0251 project, local concerns quarantine for Vermont Trans.
So the Vermont V-Trans is going to be changing the culvert that crosses underneath Route 14. The funny thing is, it doesn't say what day they're going to be changing it or what season, whether it's this season or next season. Given I don't see any survey markings out there, I believe it's going to be next season. Dave, if I'm wrong, just shoot out an answer. But they wanted it's right at where Blake Road is and where Sandville Drive is. It's Alder Brook, and it goes under 14 and it's sort of a funny angle. The culvert's in bad shape and going bad, but they're still trying to do the engineering. They have all of those questions, and I was going to answer them on behalf of the board and send it in. I just wanted to inform the board that if they had anything special, and I will coordinate with Dave as road commissioner to make sure that we get everything we're supposed to get and help them out. But it's a fairly good sized project and a fairly good sized stream.
You said it's not this year, Ned?
I don't believe so. If they had it, this is just sort of that initial, local, if this was a non-pandemic year, the local concerns meeting would be, V-Trans would be here talking to us and have had public noticing of it and all of that. But this is just their general initial contact with the town to say, hey, we're going to be doing this as a maintenance project going to be going on sometime soon.
So I think our concern should center around the Alderbrook Road, and all traffic should be sent down 105 back into Newport, if that's what's gonna happen. There's no need for truck traffic to come down to the Aldbrook, come down 14 to the Aldbrook and bang a left. They can hop down 105, go right into the city, which is where they're gonna go anyway.
All right. I will, let's sit down sometime later this week and we'll go over it exactly, just so we give them exactly what they want, because they're gonna want a path and a routing scheme, so.
On number 3, we'll just need to work with the fire department and EMS, because you can get to both sides of it even when it's closed. Just need to know that.
They are, thank you, Phil, but they're hoping not to close it at all.
Okay, that was one of the other questions. I didn't see
Yeah.
if that was.
If they do the lining, they'll be able to do it, you know, with the water going through it and everything. They just slide a sleeve in there.
I guess if they're not going to be closing it at all, then we don't really have to worry about the truck traffic either. They'll still go through.
They will do some that now.
Will
They will do some rerouting of trucks because they're going to want to have, you know, let's just say, and this is just my guess, one lane open, one lane closed. That one lane open is going to be small. So we'll see. I will coordinate with Eric Pope and whoever else is on the email, just so we get a firm understanding of the scheduling and what their ideas are. But they're just reaching out for the very initial portion of the project development.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Local emergency management plan readoption.
Ned, do you have sharing turned on?
I can turn on sharing now. Now, actually, let me get the LEMP open to even, where'd it go? All right, there you go, Phil.
Oh, you have it up. Okay. So I made minor adjustments to so this is the local emergency management plan that we have to adopt every year by May 1st. I was slow. Get the screen out of the way. I made the only real adjustments that I made was changing from Amanda Carlson to Ned. So that's, and Ned, I think we already discussed that. Right now we'll have you as the
the second.
Keep going, scroll down. I can't scroll.
No, I got it. That's the signature boxes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you roll to the next page and it has.
You can skip right over that page. That's just a checkbox for the state.
Okay.
I changed it to the 3 of us, even though we really didn't do a whole heck of a lot on it.
Right.
Keep going down through.
Okay.
That's not changed. That's not changed. That's not changed. Oh shoot! Go back up. I need to update Jeannie. I'll do that before I send this out for signature. I did that somewhere else already, but I missed this one. This will be end up changing to Dom.
Right. Yeah, the Jeannie DeRoche.
Yep. And then Dave, did anything change on this list? I didn't get time to reach out to you before. You still have the same people. You haven't added or taken anybody off.
Yeah, I mean, and those are just variables.
Yeah.
You could probably take Mario Paul off. Do you know if Scott, if that's a number for who's the kid at bottom end?
Oh, was it Larry Letourneau?
Yeah. Do you know if that's a number for him?
Boy, let me punch that in my computer.
He went out of business.
Yeah, I don't think he does.
Mario did, but
Yeah, so did Larry.
I think Larry has a different number.
yeah,
I think we should just scratch them right off.
these are pretty much variable anyway.
Yeah, it's just for having context.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
basically who's up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Getting
Yeah. I'll take Mario out. I'm gonna do these while they're here on my computer. This needs to go to Dom. Geez, who's trying to get a hold of me?
No, I think that's me.
Hang on. So if I don't do this now, I'll forget. Okay, keep going, and nothing type-wise has changed because you got the same ton truck, right? And you haven't gotten any other equipment.
Yeah,
So that's good. I changed VT alert managers to changing out Amanda again.
mhm.
Keep going. Vulnerable populations, that's the next page.
Got
I
it.
kind of left that the same because I don't think anything's changed in that unless somebody's bought these places again. Shelters are all still the same, except for any changes with Amanda and Ned. And then it was updating phone numbers for Dom down here. Oh, you're not as far as I am yet. Yeah, you can keep going. That was the annexes we'll go over at the end there if anybody happens to see those. So that, yep.
All right.
So then, remember, David, this is what you were asking in the last meeting. This is our purchasing authority for an emergency event.
Yeah,
Select board and road commissioner full authority with their discussion, and then the EMD EMC $2,000. And this only goes into effect when there's potentially when we have an emergency going on. So this will be signed separately. You can keep going down, and then the EMD delegation is the next one, just the normal stuff
Yeah,
of the jobs, pretty much.
and that's the end.
And that's the end. So what we need to do is I sign this as the EMD, so I stay. I guess I don't know if I technically have to recuse myself, but I sign as the EMD, and then chair would sign the LEMP part and the 2 annexes. And I guess I'll leave that up to you guys.
Okay.
I'm not making anything out of this, so I guess I don't really need to recuse myself.
Yeah. But we need a motion to accept it, Bill?
Yep. Well, I'll make a motion. Well, actually, yeah, make it right. Have one of you guys make the motion. And
Yeah,
So I'll make the motion to accept the local emergency management plan with the adjustments that Phil is making to change, put Dom's name on and remove Jeannie's name and also put Ned's name in place of Amanda's name.
Mario's.
Yeah,
Yep.
and remove Mary.
yeah.
Do I have a second?
So move.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'll send that one out. Ned, do you have I sent you the VT alert one.
Yep, I'll dig that up. Hang on, let me close that one. Go to, oh, I don't even think I downloaded. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. All right.
So this is just a letter to, because we use VT alert. We have the PD set up as our alerting agency, the ones who will send out the alerts. At some point, I'd probably get us set up as it, so we don't have to go through them. But this was just, again, changing from Amanda to Ned, and this just has to be sent over to the state and PD for the people authorized to request a public alert. This can be used for road closures and emergency stuff. So I'll make the motion to, I don't know, I'll let you guys do that.
So I make a motion to approve this V2 alert.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll send those out with with the other signature stuff.
Okay.
You
Oh,
want to
what
do
is, oh, yeah, the broadband. I was gonna say
Yeah.
there's one more thing.
Yeah, and I have one other thing too after that.
all right, let me get the broadband thing. Where'd that go? I know I just saw it. No, I can't.
So the broadband
Yeah.
every year so as you guys know, we are part of the Northeast Kingdom Communication Union District. I think every year they follow up with who's the
local rep.
the representatives. Last year we all had me as a primary and David Barlow as the secondary. I talked to David. I would like to flip-flop us, as long as David's still good with that. Have David Barlow in as the primary representative for the town for the CUD, and I'll be there as a backup. He seemed interested and was thinking that might be fun to do. And I'll be honest, I haven't attended a meeting. Yeah, right. That's what you said. I haven't honestly attended a meeting since the first one, so I might attend another one. But I do get the emails. I keep up with it as much as I can. But figure give it off to somebody else. I'll pawn it off to somebody.
We don't need it. Do we need a motion for that?
I just think consensus will be sufficient.
Yeah, it's just signing the resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, the only one thing I had wanted to bring up, Ned, was in our last meeting, we talked with Dom in the fire district, and you had sent out, or we're going to send us out a letter that we were in agreements with VLCT, so we can try to, establish how we're going to appoint another member to the fire district. And I haven't seen anything on the agenda, and I'm just wondering where we're at.
I sent a thing to VLCT saying you have our consent to coordinate with them. And I've sent it out to Dom, and I know that late last week, I think Dom was still working. So I will shoot another email out to him. He needs to send a letter of consent to them also, and I will also get back with VLCT. VLCT doesn't want to really deal with this, to be honest with you. So, but I'll get on them tomorrow morning, bright and early, to get with Carl Adnier.
Well, we just need a few answers so we can, get to the bottom of what the board has to do, or what we have the authority to do.
Right, but they just don't want to be put between two members and legally, get in a gray area. So, but yeah, no, I will get back on that.
Okay.
I guess that's where that agreement is coming from, because we both kind of need legal advice on what we need to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, policies review and readoption.
Okay, let me grab my other pile here. The first one, the accounting, auditing, and financial reporting policy. There were some proposed changes Dave Barlow and I have coordinated, and Dave has created what's agreeable and what our standard policies are. And we just need a motion to approve, and it's all been changed as we spoke about at the last meeting. Oh, you'll be getting, sorry, go ahead.
Did you want to bring it up, put it up on the screen and just point out those changes?
Sure, hang on, where'd that go? Share screen. Yes, share the.
So I can
No, I gotta.
I'll give you a little quick narrative here of what I was attempting to do, which was basically just document the way we've been doing business for the past couple of years. And so it lays out what I do every month, what we do as a team every quarter with a budget report, and then annually what happens with the audit and the financial statement.
This has to do with that financial reporting, and basically near the bottom of page 1. Should be getting regular updates on exactly where the budget is and where various costs are going.
Okay.
And moving on, those were the only changes. The second page is just the signature page and the dates and the what fors and wheres.
I make a motion, we approve the accounting, auditing, and financial reporting policy.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
I only heard one vote.
No, I.
Yeah, I was trying to find my screen after the sharing.
Okay, all right. Okay, good, all right. Thank you. Moving on to the next one, the purchasing and reimbursement policy. This needed some editing. The one thing I have done is gotten rid of the extras. We had some bid specification things that we couldn't legally do. I've gotten rid of them. And what was the other thing? There was another change in here. Oh, excuse me, let me share that. Stop this share. Share again. Back to there. Share. Hang on a second, I gotta shrink my window down so I can. Okay, purchasing and reimbursement. Last time around, we had two policies, a purchasing policy and a reimbursement policy. They've been put together. The other thing that we have done is we've lowered the purchase totals to $1,000 for budgeted items and $2,000 for, hang on, I'm going to have to move people's screens to another side, for budgeted for town employees and officers, $1,000, for budgeted items, $2,000, excuse me, and that purchases will be subject to certain specifications for the bid process, and that the road commissioner is exempt from the purchasing limits in terms of dollar values on all budgeted items required for regular maintenance of the roads. Purchases of $10,000 or more would initiate a bid process, and we have the standard bid process information, the 1 through 7 here. And then once bids are approved, they're opened by the select board, and that the standard criteria that Vermont state law requires, what you have to have in a bid. I will fix that number 5 that's crossed out. It shouldn't be crossed out. That's this thing right there. And change orders, it goes over how change orders would be prepared and how they would go out. And then sole source purchases and unique products. And that recurring processes, the recurring processes and recurring purchases, how they go about it, an emergency, and then professional services, and we go through, and then it's the signature line. All right, questions? It's very straightforward and something that we went over at the last meeting. The one place it does go over reimbursements was here. Let me move. Can everyone see that whole paragraph? Okay. At the end of the purpose, it says procedures followed in public purchasing, and to clarify, all elected officials, appointed officials, and employees are on eligibility of reimbursements, and then it goes on to state what those are later on in the document. And that takes care of mileage and the other things. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions on this? I make a motion, we approve the purchasing and reimbursement policy.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The balance, now, let me just, balance budget one. The balance budget one is sort of a statement of the, as my mother would say, the clearly obvious. We are legally required to have a balanced budget, and I don't think a non-balanced budget would get through town meeting very, very well. But it basically says we will fund things as we have money available and the taxes available, and we'll follow the state law. The administration of it will be the town select board. And, but it also recognizes that unintended expenditures and unintended shortfalls may occur, but they'll endeavor to get them fixed either in the current year or the next year, or through other financing measures. And it's very straightforward. Basically, every town in Vermont follows essentially the same thing.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The capital planning one, again, very straightforward. David and I spoke about it briefly. The capital plan is of a couple of years, maybe a year out of date, but we need to just plan out what our resources are and what we should be expending things on. And again, very straightforward, followed by most every town in Vermont, especially the larger towns. It goes over how it's developed and how it is created. We would have a joint meeting at some point between the select board and the planning commission to get the initial public hearing. The one thing I have done, as you can see here in capital expenditures, we used to have 100,000. I've lowered that for equipment cost to 25,000 and 200,000 for roads, bridges, and other infrastructure to 50,000. The 100,000 to 200,000 is a little high in my professional experience, and I would recommend we go a little lower. And this brings us more closely in line with the purchasing policy, so that the purchasing policy and the capital planning policy are essentially the same in terms of dollar values. They're a little bit different, but I just can't imagine. There's things that David purchases at this point that cost 10 grand, and I wouldn't want to have like plow blades or things like that, or tires inside the capital plan. So that's.
Hey, Dave Barlow, on capital expenditures, do you think it should be moved back to 100,000, or do you think 25,000 is adequate?
I think that we can try it at 25,000.
So that's for anything above 25,000 is considered a capital expense then? Is that how I'm reading it? And then 50,000 for infrastructure?
Yes. Now, some of the $25,000, actually not the 25, some of the $50,000 things, items are likely to be, I'll just say not unnamed, but generic categories like culvert replacement. We'll just say, we're going to do, let's just say 10 culvert replacements for $50,000. We're going to do 10 this year. We have no idea which ones we're going to do. We may have an understanding that there'll generally be somewhere with which ones, but it'll just be a category that just says culvert replacements or paving or things like that. That'll have those smaller ticket items than the 50,000.
David Gallup, is that, it's 50,000? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter because there's anything above 50,000, but
yeah,
it's way higher than that, isn't it? For culverts and.
Well, for your normal maintenance, for normal culverts, 3 feet and down, that's not a bad number. But I mean, when we get into box culverts and stuff like that, I mean, you're running 100 to might be looking at 200 on the lane road,
So that number's just gonna fit all the smaller ones into this too
Yeah,
then, right? Okay,
it's
I
a
get it.
generic category. Some years it'll have 5, some years it'll have 2. Some years it'll have, they'll have extra culverts like the box culvert on Lane Road that's gonna be, 200, 250, something like that.
Yep.
And the deeper ones, Dave's 100% right, they're a lot of money.
Can I drop on another quick subject while we're on that discussion before I forget it? Dave, how difficult would it be to put a dry hydrant in while you're doing that box culvert?
Well, that was one of the things we had brought up when we were closing down those little roads there, because Mark House was brought up.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it would be a nice place to have one, a great option.
Yep. Okay, we can discuss that later.
And we can certainly add that into the capital planning so that we have the money set aside and,
So
funding.
there is a hydrant fund already, and then there's also grants from the state for doing dry hydrants too. So that's something we'll just have to work with Pedro on, and I know
Yeah.
he was talking about down in that area too. So anyways, I digress.
Okay, anybody have any other questions on this?
I think I'm good for now, I guess.
Okay, make a motion, we approve the capital planning policy.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Scott, did you abstain or?
No, I said aye.
Okay, sorry. All right, let me get to the last one. The conflict of interest one, this is, other than a couple of misspellings and some bad grammar, it's exactly what you have from prior years, and it is standard boilerplate from VLCT. And it goes through all the last, little things that Vermont state law has on conflicts of interest, and it's very, very straightforward
So
and common sense.
I had a thought on this. So Brian Monahan is appointed. Is he under this policy?
No, he would be under the Bar Association of Vermont.
I can't see on this, but I thought on the original email it said appointed officials too.
I wouldn't say he's appointed. I would say he was a hired consultant.
Well,
And
every year we go over those things from road commissioner right down to the town lawyer.
I don't know, but I can find out. I'm not sure.
I'd like to have him covered under this.
Why don't you find out the LCT net and we can table this one.
I will find out. That's a, yeah.
Till next meeting.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. On to warrants, Deb.
That's gonna be me.
Or Phil. She was here. Did you have any? Okay, go ahead, Phil.
Hang on. Did you guys get them? I think you guys got them all.
Yeah, I got them all. I'm reviewing them. So
the only thing that I found on the warrants for today was Deb messed up a little bit. And it's nothing with the warrant. She just forgot to put one on there. If you went through her warrant, I don't remember which one it was. It was the G31-2, I think.
Yeah, it's the dogs, the treasurer's trying to save money.
She was. She has the receipts for the dog licenses to the state for $564 or something, but it didn't get put on the warrant. So she's going to do that as a separate warrant later. And I'll approve that like I normally do when it's in the middle, and then we'll just sign it next time.
Okay.
So I don't have the warrant, I don't have the warrants in front of me, so I had some questions, I don't know if it's in the right part right now, but we had one for GoDaddy, and it says for the road department for $71. I didn't understand what that was.
So
That's the renewal of your email, Dave.
yeah,
Okay,
when was that one, Deb?
We've had, right now, we're going through the process where almost everybody's just starting to go through renewal.
Yeah, I know. I was asking that because David showed up as the credit card needs a payment put on it, and David's didn't get renewed. So maybe it was an invoice. Was that a credit card charge or an invoice?
Credit card charge.
Okay, so maybe it
Yeah,
went
all
through
of
and then
those
it
go on the
declined it, I
credit
don't know.
card.
and then the other one I saw was Raymond Rodrigue.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that come under the cemetery, and is that,
It does. Yep,
okay,
you are correct.
all right.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
I'm probably in the wrong thing, but I don't have anything on the screen to go by.
Just resend them, resend
Here,
them.
I'll open them if you got sharing turned on, Ned.
want me to-
Those were the only two I had questions on.
Yeah, enable it. If you can enable it, Ned, I'll share it.
Go ahead.
It's still disabled.
The one, I mean, this is kind of,
Oh, you shared your own screen.
All right, hang on. Stop share.
this is kind of petty. One of the things I noticed on there, so with being awarded the church, we were awarded the past due bill from the
Yeah.
fire district in the tune of 2,000 and change, which we knew about. I'm okay with paying that bill, I guess, but I was just wondering, there was some late fees and this and that, and you know, I probably shouldn't bring it up, but it's just, if it was, I have to bring it up because if it was me, I mean, there was no water used at all for those numbers of years, and there was definitely, you know, and it wasn't us. So, I mean, should we ask for these late fees to be waived, or, I mean, it's probably petty and we should just pay it and move on, but I'm just putting it out there.
So they go back to April 2017, and yeah, there's fees on there. Deb, I think, is gonna know more about that one.
I was gonna say, I mean, definitely, it's almost like some of the other discussions tonight, that opens up a huge can of worms. Definitely, the fire district runs underneath a different setup as far as being able to go in and waive finance charges and penalties and stuff of that nature. Speaking on behalf of another water district that I do the books for, regardless of whether the water is used or not, your organization still has expenses that are being incurred. Definitely, water districts do their billings differently. You can separate it out, have a water portion of the water bill, and then have a capital debt portion of a water bill. Unfortunately, the fire district does not do it that way and is contained all together as one. So just like with my other water district, regardless of whether you use the water or not, you are still charged because there are still expenses in maintaining that facility and keeping it up and going.
So were they getting bills and they just weren't getting paid?
That is correct. So the bills are being sent out to, and you can see the,
Alan?
oh, yeah, the name that they are being mailed to, and they just were not being paid because I believe the church just did not have the money.
Safe to assume it's only one check for 2,476, Deb?
That is correct.
Okay,
And then that brings you to a zero balance until the next billing.
2,765.
765.38.
yeah, I should have known, I saw it 8 times.
Yeah, I guess I just had to throw that out there, but
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I know the fire district, if we wanted the water, it would be turned on, and that was part of the original arrangement that we were gonna pay that bill. So thank you.
I guess this is David Barlow. I'm kind of with you, Scott, on that. I know it sounds petty, but I'm not really of the mind to believe that the calculations necessarily were correct either, just given the history. But and that's all the whining I'm going to do. I'm going to stop right there, and I'm done. Over.
So should we wait and go over the calculations, or are you good with them, Deb?
I mean, to be honest with you, I have not gone back over as far as prior to, as far as how they were calculated or whatnot, but I can tell you it is done within QuickBooks. QuickBooks actually goes through and does the calculation.
And that's been that way since at least 2017.
That's been that way ever since the software, they've been using the software.
Yeah. I don't know. I go both directions. I think it's
Yeah.
opening a can of worms and
Right. I don't know if it's worth it.
No.
We should just make a note of it that we were questioning the water bill possibly, but we, if we agreed to pay it, it's kind of like the way we felt about paying that back taxes, delinquent Cynthia mistake, whatever, of $10,000 a while back or
Mhm.
15.
Yep.
We could have handled that differently too, but after it's done, I think we did the right thing. And eventually we do owe money. Is it exactly this amount? It'd take a lot of resources for us to probably prove that it's not that amount. And is it worth it?
Yep.
I would say it's probably pretty close, if anything, but that's just my assumption.
Right. It could even be more.
Yeah.
Maybe we wanted, maybe that's as far as they had records. Let's just keep it at that, right?
Okay, so that's that one. The other one's Department of Motor Vehicles for duplicate title. I believe this is because we can't find titles. Is that right?
Yes,
Correct.
And this is for the old ton truck.
yes.
Okay.
I'm going down there Friday afternoon to deal with the DMV.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Many people have said good luck with that. But I'm gonna sit there and wait and get it going. We need to get it done. And just a quick FYI, we do not have titles to any of our equipment. We cannot find any. I dug through every box and
Did you look through the vault more?
I looked through the vault. Everything that was of the right date or the right time period. In filling out the form, it dawned on me that when the DMV came to take over or take the Cynthia stuff out of here, I bet you it was in a file marked DMV and they grabbed it and went, and our titles are God knows where in some cabinet in Montpelier.
Woohoo. Okay.
Dave Barlow, we had talked about the tile in the kitchen on the wall. Did you ever get a chance to talk to the carpenter about that?
We did. We worked it out.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. I think it's acceptable.
All right.
He did something to it.
Yeah, he fixed quite a bit.
Okay.
He fixed what was reasonable to fix.
I was gonna say I walked in there and I don't think I would have noticed it if I hadn't have known about it.
Yeah, that's always the danger with that stuff. Once you eye it.
Yeah.
But I think the worst of it was fine. What's left is acceptable.
And this is the credit card. Oh, the road commissioner right there. I think we got to look at that because his was set as it wasn't paid. But it will go through at some point. So
yeah.
That's all except for payroll. Payroll's on there. Or in your email, you got that, the last one. I did want to bring up, Ned.
Yes.
So on Stephanie.
Yes.
If I'm doing my calculations right, I know this is still on the,
Can you go to that, can you roll to that page?
do I want to bring up
If you
payroll?
can't, that's okay.
Oh, wait, who's all on here?
Okay.
Yeah, because that would be on a paid stub, so I don't want information on there.
Yeah.
So administrative assistant, what we put in for the budget for this coming year is 1,800. If I do
Right.
my calculations right, year to date for this year, we're about one paycheck away from being at that amount.
Correct.
So that is obviously, if we're going at the rate we're going, not going to be enough for next year, but do we need that?
I was just about to cut down her hours. I'm having her do as little stuff as possible, but she's helping me out with the minutes and really speeding up the process of getting the minutes written in a draft format, me approving them and going from there. So I'm about to cut her down to probably, she's at 5 days, 5 hours a week. She's gonna go down to 3. And yes, we're gonna probably run over the budget, and then after the start of the fiscal years, I'd have to look at the budget. I think she's gonna be staying at that. I forget what the dollar amount was.
Well, the dollar amount for the budget for this coming fiscal year is 1,800. We didn't
Yeah.
have a budget for last fiscal.
Is it about 4 hours a week we can have,
Yeah,
or 3? What is that?
I'm thinking more like, 2, 2.5, 3, something in that range,
Three?
just to help out with the minutes.
So is it minutes that big a deal?
They're not, but it just takes that amount of work away from me and gives me better time, better use of my time and better, use of your time with me and things like that.
Are you talking on meeting nights?
No, I'm talking
Okay. Yep.
on other, I give her the file, she does it. I give her the video recording, she does it whatever time she wants it. But I can also give her my notes, which speeds up the time, because you probably can't see it because it's off camera. I keep a whole journal on notes so she can move through some things very, very quickly.
So you're gonna make those warrants, Phil, available for us to sign, you'll send them out?
Yep. Hang on. How many weeks in the year? 52?
Yeah.
So that 1,800 is about an hour and a half per week.
All right, I will concentrate her time.
But if she only does minutes every other week,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It takes 3 hours to do minutes.
that's what I'm thinking. It's every other time. Exactly. Sorry. I lifted up a lawnmower over the weekend and I should not have done that. All right.
Okay, so that was all the warrants.
Okay.
I'll get those sent out. I'll try to get them out tonight. If not, I'll do it tomorrow. And then the other things you and I have to sign, Scott.
Yep. All right, and then we have to prove the minutes for last meeting. Let's get those up here.
I'll share my,
Yeah, share those with us.
hang on, let me open it up first.
Oh, while we're doing that, there's something going on in the center on Saturday? Is that what I was hearing with the
Yes.
appraisals? How long
Yeah.
is that?
I'm not sure. I can find out if you'd like.
David Barlow, do you know? I know you were talking about it.
Yeah, the assessors are holding these, they call it an informal process meeting. They're 15 minutes apiece, and there's a bunch of them scheduled for starting this week. I think either tomorrow or Wednesday for sure. I know I've got one on Thursday.
Yeah, I have one on Thursday at 12:45. And as of today, I was the 18th one, I believe. So that'll be 18 people, 15 minutes apiece at different times.
So do we have to be on that to grieve?
No,
No,
no.
Okay, so I got time.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, this is just to state if your appraisal went down 70,000 or up 200, you can maybe talk about it.
I got asked by Kelly if she could clean on Saturday instead of Sunday this week. So I told her I thought something was going on and I'd find out what time. So if you can find out,
Oh.
Ned, and let me know.
Okay,
Yeah, that's, Kate would know how that's,
I didn't think they were doing it on Saturday, but maybe.
yeah, they are.
Okay.
So I noted on the assessor's letter, the select board's name. Did the select board receive that before it was sent out?
For what?
I noticed on the assessor's letter and the appraisals that were sent out that the select board's name was added on it. Was that brought to anybody from the select board?
The appraisal letter?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
all I got was what was in the mail.
Me too.
That letter should have gone out to every, parcel owner in town.
Yeah, I think David's asking if the select board got it prior to that.
Prior notice, no, I know. Would you like me to speak to Kate about that?
I just think if our name's going to be added to something that goes out to the whole community, I'd like to have a chance to review that before. it goes
Absolutely.
out.
Okay, I will check with Kate and remind her of that.
I need to look at that and see if I need to do something.
It seems so that it should have been like a quorum for all of you though, and not just a particular person.
Right.
Right.
For
I
what?
agree.
Should have
It
been.
should have just been on the agenda prior to it being mailed out, I would
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
But what are we as a board gonna do about that part? Other than getting noticed about them?
Yeah, I mean, right. I believe if
What
it
I'm,
would've-
what I'm stating is, don't put my name on something without having me look.
Right. Yes.
That's all.
Yeah,
No action would have been, I wouldn't imagine, but, right,
Yeah, I'm not saying I would have been against it.
right.
Okay, minutes.
Yep. Scroll this down a little. Ned,
sure. We had the Dom thing and then me asking about uploading things to YouTube. The hotspot is now installed. Social
Oh, yes.
services, and then the policy we approved and the updates. And the retracement truck. And the RFP for the church stabilization warrants, so forth, and then the minutes approval. Then we adjourned.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Yeah.
minutes.
Second.
so move.
I will also note, if you want to put it in there, yes, as you stated, the hotspot has been installed. I do need to make one change to get it live down there, but we got that installed, no cost to us.
Nice.
Yeah, good job, Phil.
The next project is to get our internet upgraded. So that still shouldn't be a bigger cost. It should be around the same. I'm gonna look at doing changes on the phones that would probably actually save us money. So
So I talked to Kathy at the Dyna, so she already has Wi-Fi through Comcast. Would this be as high a quality, and is she paying for that Wi-Fi, and could she not? Could she eliminate that payment by being on this? Or would she want to be? I don't know. I'm not.
that's not what that's gonna be made for.
Okay.
It's being fed by Comcast, so it's the same quality, but we don't want to be. This is meant for. It is gonna be free. You can sign on from wherever you're at, or when you're right there. I'm gonna take the password. So right now, the guest network down there at the community center, you have to punch in the Coventry. that hotspot's running off of the same thing. So I'm going to remove the password off of that. So it's just an accepting the terms and agreement. So we don't have to have the password thing, and it's meant for people who are outside and don't have the broadband to come and sit at the park and ride to do schoolwork or what they need to do. I'm still trying to figure out a way to keep, well, I guess you're not going to sit in your car for 48 hours sitting there streaming movies, so you never know.
Right.
Hopefully
Might
not.
see Deb down there doing that. Oh, she's not on anymore, is she?
Yes, she
Oh,
is.
she is. Oh, I gotta go up. There we go. Although she's
No,
got
I
better
finally
internet
got
now.
my internet. I'm good.
All right, so we can clear this screen, I guess, right?
Well, actually, I just need a motion to, approve the minutes.
We did.
And
Oh, you did?
Yep, yep.
Okay. Stop sharing.
So we need to sign all these minutes. I know you, Ned, I was supposed to go through that whole process with you. Do we need to do that? We still need to do that, don't we?
We do not need to sign minutes.
Okay, it's just
There's no
approving
legal
them, right?
requirement to sign minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so Ned, number 8, executive session anticipated. So in a few emails that I see on the website, so was this posted incorrectly? Like,
I don't think so, because we were going to take advice and, essentially follow the advice. If
So
you'd like,
I'm gonna
Go ahead.
add, sorry. I think it needs at least a description of what it is, because I don't even know what we're doing with this.
okay, so let's.
I think at least that, if you're asking that question, that would be where I fall. I did try to look today, and I can't find anywhere that says you have to have the executive session listed, but you, or at least the way it was being stated. But it does look like you need to at least have your what it's about stated in there.
So,
But I thought it is stated that you do have to have executive session on there if you are planning to go into executive session. I
Right.
thought that is a requirement.
I couldn't find anywhere, but I may not be looking in the right place.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is a requirement, and then you are supposed to state what the reason is, not specifically, but whether it's a personnel matter or whether it's something to that nature, very generic. But no, if your intent is to have executive session, it has to be stated on there.
What I can say, what this matter was to talk about, which I can say not an executive session, was it was just about one of our utility
it was about a reappraisal.
appraisal value, and it needed to go into the executive session. But I think let's just table this. We can table this for, I'm going to suggest maybe we have a meeting next Monday. Just a quick meeting to put the utilities on. Let's have a meeting Monday if everybody can meet. Let's do the utilities and let's discuss the planning commission, what they, what the planning commission,
What they have.
what they have for us. And
Okay.
just do
a
that.
quick one.
Just
All right.
a quick meeting for that.
All right.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Is Len still on?
Len is still on.
Yeah, I'm still here.
You're not asleep yet?
Len?
Oh, it's been quite interesting, actually.
Len?
Dave, yes.
My apologies to you and Donna for my language. I will not apologize for my passion. I have had enough. I will not be called anything but good when it comes to this channel, especially by that woman. And, that's all I've got tonight. I'll reach out to you and Donna at some point.
And does anyone know, we had a request for the video for this meeting from NevTech? NEVTC
That's-
Limited?
You're talking to
That's
him right
me.
now.
That's Len.
Okay, all right.
My
I was
name
like,
should have been
who the
on there,
heck-
Ned.
Who the heck is this character wants the damn recording?
And
All right,
yes,
I
I guess-
apologize.
and I apologize, Ned, because we should have never had the annual authorization of ATV use on this agenda. They don't need the authorization because it was till revoked. So this discussion would have all taken place when we review and amend the ordinance. And so we went around the whole mulberry bush really for nothing.
Well,
think.
I
mean,
I
not for-
think it was good because they had a request, and I think it's good to put the request out there that there's a club that's going in a direction. I think we could have it, and I think we're going to have them meet at a point sometime soon where their request and the ordinance are gonna meet up. Yeah, it's messy. Democracy is messy, and, these things, I'm not worried about it. I think it was good.
I'm sure if we could have had in-person meetings, we could have reasonably worked this out very quickly. The delay caused by the pandemic and Zoom meetings and all that has just been very difficult. And at times we felt like we have not been heard and just totally ignored, and that's been very frustrating.
And
Did you guys get my email, Len?
Yeah, and frankly, Dave, it felt like you were brushing us off, to be honest.
So I don't feel I was, Len. I just, I really feel that way. I feel I've never been a fan of ATVs, and I've watched them in the village, and for the most part, they really are respectful.
Yeah, I mean, I
And I
don't
know,
argue with that.
yeah, and I know
I
it's
would-
bothersome. I know it's bothersome.
Well, I would say that probably 99.9% of the people who went by my house last summer were respectful. There was no issue with that. It was just the volume. It was just hundreds of ATVs on the weekends. That's the only time I have at home. It's just ATV noise all day long, Saturday and Sunday. It was just extraordinarily annoying.
Len, you know where I'm at. I'm right next to the trail, and I'll agree with that completely.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of it might have to do with the pandemic too. People, instead of going away and going down to the Cape or going, to wherever they go, they were stuck home and they wanted to get outside. So I think you can't find a used ATV to buy or a side by side or anything. And the manufacturers don't have any, and it's the same with snowmobiles. People are excessively doing outdoor activity, and I think it's probably more than it normally, well, I definitely know it's more than it normally would have been.
Yeah.
I can tell you last year, the year prior, the trail here was quiet. Last year was way different.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it's just everybody got out. And I know that first opening weekend last year was the most I had ever seen.
Yeah, and I think that first weekend, the select board and the club really dropped the ball on that, especially the club when they didn't.
It got advertised.
They got advertised that all our roads were open, which they weren't at that.
Yep.
And it just became a free for all. I mean, it was like Laconia at my house. It was like, wow, that place is roaring. And then after that first weekend, the first 2 weekends, I actually point Len to go to people that don't like ATVs, like myself, in the village, and I ask them. Like that first weekend, I asked Amanda, who was on the planning commission. She said, "Oh, it was terrible." And then through the summer, I go down on the weekends and water my flowers, and I would ask her, and she said, it just got progressively better for them. It wasn't such a zoo like that first weekend. And I do think the board and club dropped the ball on that.
So I think the one difference is that Lane Road is a funnel for all the traffic. It has been. So I'll be very interested to see how much Alderbrook Road will relieve the pressure. I'm very hopeful that will help a lot. I'm a little concerned about Reed Road though, because that's going to become a funnel too. And there's there's enough people that live on that road that live right next to the road. It's, that could be problematic too. So, it's just, I know there's a popular place to eat out there, but, if, hopefully they can find a better way to get there, renew the relationships they had before, and work out the problems, because it's, I just hate to.
One
Yeah, it is.
benefit with the Reed Road, though, is if they can find a possibility of how to get that trail to come down, just like the Vass does, because the Vass uses that trail all during the winter season. So you either have like the snow machines or you have the ATVs that are utilizing that trail, but it'd be nice to actually see the same trail being used to possibly get to Little John's Mini Mart to help sort of, that's another Coventry business. And with Coventry, being open for ATV use and whatnot, it'd be nice to be able to see that other business be able to, benefit from the ATV and UTV uses.
Yeah.
And with having that Reed Road being open, that gives it the first main straightaway. And now it's just to get that big field to come down and then just to get right to Little John's. So I was actually myself happy to hear that maybe the Reed Road would be opening up, because then for me, it just means then I can go down my road and just get to Little John's and then boom, I'm on the trail versus having to truck mine someplace to be able to get on the trail.
Will
Yeah, I
that,
don't have a problem with residents using it at all. It's just, if they have any kind of volume like we had on Lane Road last year, it's just going to be terrible for people on Reed Road.
Yeah.
So, did I hear that the trail, did Rondo buy out Edmund? Did I hear that? And the trail was gonna go there anyway?
Edmund Petit,
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Do you know, Deb?
I know a researcher came in doing some researching on his property, that he was expecting to put it up for sale, but whether it's already sold, I was not furnished that information.
Oh, because I thought I heard somebody say that they were gonna cross there onto Edmund's land, which would be a benefit to Glenn.
And that may be a possibility, because that's where the Curtin Bass Trail goes as well.
I do have,
Crosses over a portion of his land.
I guess my concerns with Reed Road are similar to his. I mean, you got those houses that are right on the road, I am worried about that material. It doesn't hold chloride too, but we'll do what we can.
I would wish that landowners that have big tracts of land would open their land for trails and just keep it off-road and as far away from houses as possible. I think everybody would be much happier with that. And I don't know if there's any way Coventry can facilitate that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the large tracts of land that get to Newport, for example, there just isn't any good way. I think the Alderbrook Road is the best way. But yeah, I think, I don't know the road you're talking about off Webster Road. I've never been down in there, but if there's nobody on that road, I think that's an awesome place for them to go.
Just diverge traffic. I mean, there's basically the ponds, the rest of them would support it anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just, Noreen's got a camper, but the rest of them are part-time, and like the Perkins, been there for 100 years.
Probably comes down to how much traffic there is as well.
Yeah.
I tolerated what we had for years, but
I do hear it.
I mean, the ultimate goal is to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
well, I think the higher priority is the citizens of the town. And I realize how the vote went last time, but again, I don't know that was a fair vote, because there was, nobody knew what was going to happen. So we're,
it was like 500 people that voted, though. It was a lot of people knew. It was a large vote, like as many as it was a large vote.
Yeah. I was really surprised by the vote. All the negative publicity that we got, and then it just passed. So
well, again, I don't, I think, the good thing about a public meeting is that you can speak in reasonable tones of voice and, not be emotional about it too much, but just try to help people understand the impact. I know a lot of people think that we don't want them to have their right to ride their ATV, and that's not at all it at all. There's got to be a balance between their right and our right, and having a relatively peaceable place to live is stated right in the ordinance. So it definitely was not that on the weekends last year. So I appreciate your concern. I appreciate you hearing my concerns and what I have to say. I really do.
Well, thank you, Len. Thanks for.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to stay involved. So
All right.
thanks.
Great. Have a good evening. everyone.
I'll
Dave
call you
and Scott,
tomorrow, Scott.
All right, give me a call. Yep.
Dave and
Bye.
Scott, I just sent those all over to you guys.
Okay, I'll sign them in the morning.
I'll sign them now.
That's why I said it, because David won't if he doesn't.